The gleaming conference room on the 42nd floor buzzed with an uncomfortable silence. Marcus Williams stood in the doorway clutching his worn backpack tight against his chest. His yellow Pokemon shirt seemed almost too bright against the sea of dark suits surrounding him. The 10-year-old had come here on a Thursday afternoon not expecting to walk into the most important meeting of Sterling Tech Industries. His mother worked in the building as a janitor and today she had to bring him along because his school had closed early. Margaret Sterling sat at the head of the massive oak table, her perfectly styled blonde hair catching the afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. At 62 she commanded respect in every boardroom across the country. But today something was different. Today her composure was cracking. Her son Richard Sterling stood nearby gesturing emphatically trying to communicate something urgent to her. His tailored gray suit and crisp movements spoke of a man used to being understood. But his mother was not understanding. Margaret's hands moved in sign language, fluid and desperate. Richard shook his head frustrated. None of the dozen executives around the table knew sign language. The meeting had ground to a halt. Marcus watched from the doorway, his young eyes taking in the scene with unusual clarity. His grandmother had been deaf. She had taught him to sign when he was just 5 years old. Before she passed 2 years ago, she made him promise to never forget. To use his gift to help others. He had kept that promise. Now watching this powerful woman struggle to communicate something that clearly mattered deeply to her, Marcus felt his grandmother's words echo in his heart. The executives shuffled papers uncomfortably. Someone suggested getting an interpreter, but Margaret was shaking her head urgently. Time mattered. Whatever she needed to say could not wait. Richard ran his hand through his dark hair, his frustration mounting. Marcus took a small step forward. Then another. His sneakers made soft sounds on the polished marble floor. A security guard near the door started to move toward him, but something made the man pause. Perhaps it was the determination in the child's eyes. Or perhaps it was simply meant to be. Marcus reached the table. Richard turned toward him, about to ask him to leave. But Marcus was already signing. His small hands moved with practiced grace, forming the words, "Can I help?" Margaret's eyes widened. She signed back quickly, hope flooding her refined features. Marcus nodded. He turned to Richard and the assembled executives. His voice was clear despite his nervousness. "She says the acquisition everyone is discussing is wrong." The room fell completely silent. Richard stared at the boy. "She says you are all looking at the wrong data." Marcus continued translating as Margaret's hands flew through the air. "The company you want to buy has hidden debts. She found them this morning in documents her accountant sent her. She tried to call, but her relay service was down. She came here directly, but no one could understand." Margaret signed more urgently. "She says if you sign the papers today you will lose everything. $200 million. And worse, you will destroy the pension funds of 3,000 workers who did nothing wrong." Richard's face went pale. He pulled out his phone, making rapid calls. Other executives scrambled for their laptops. Marcus stood calmly between them, his hands moving in rhythm with Margaret's as she provided details. Account numbers. Document references. Names of shell companies. The 10-year-old translated it all with remarkable precision. His grandmother had taught him well. For 20 minutes the boardroom transformed. What had been a place of uncomfortable silence became a hub of focused activity. All because a child had stepped forward when no one else could bridge the gap. Finally Richard ended his last call. He looked at his mother with something like awe. "You were right." He signed the words clumsily. "You saved us." Margaret smiled, but then she turned to Marcus. Her hands moved gently now. "She wants to know your name," Marcus said softly. "Marcus Williams, ma'am. She asks how you learned to sign." "My grandmother taught me. She was deaf too. She said signing was like music you could see. That it connected hearts when voices could not reach." Margaret's eyes glistened. She signed something and Marcus blushed. "She says your grandmother raised you right. That you have an old soul. And that you helped her more than you know." Richard cleared his throat. "Son, where is your mother?" "She cleans offices here, sir." "On the 38th floor." "Not anymore," Richard said firmly. "We need someone in our communications department. Someone who understands that real communication goes beyond words. I think your mother might be perfect. And we need a consultant who can teach our entire executive team sign language." Someone patient enough to work with stubborn old business people. He smiled at Marcus. Do you know anyone who might be interested in that job? Marcus's eyes went wide. Margaret signed something else. She says you changed her life today, Marcus. She wants to set up a scholarship fund in your grandmother's name. For deaf students and for hearing students who learn sign language. She says barriers only exist until someone brave enough decides to cross them. Today you were that brave someone. The executives who had seemed so imposing before began to applaud. Marcus felt his cheeks burn, but he stood a little taller. Later that evening Marcus sat with his mother in their small apartment telling her everything that had happened. She cried, happy tears pulling him close. Baby, your grandmother is smiling down on you right now. Mama, do you think she knew that teaching me to sign would matter this much someday? His mother kissed his forehead. I think she knew that kindness always matters. That stepping forward when others step back is what makes heroes. Not capes or powers, but courage and compassion. Marcus thought about Margaret's face when she realized someone finally understood her. He thought about Richard's gratitude. About the workers whose pensions had been saved. About his mother's new job that would change their lives. All because his grandmother had taken time to teach a small boy the music you could see. That night before bed Marcus signed into the darkness. Thank you, Grandma. I kept my promise. Somewhere in his heart he felt certain she heard him. The next morning Marcus wore his Pokemon shirt again. This time when he walked into Sterling Tech Industries he walked through the front door. His mother beside him. Both of them ready for their new beginning. All because a 10-year-old boy understood that real wealth is not measured in money but in the connections we make. The barriers we break. And the courage we show when we step forward to help. Even when we are small. Even when we are afraid. Even when no one expects us to be the one who makes the difference. If this story touched your heart, please like, share and subscribe. Leave a comment telling us about a time when you helped someone bridge a gap or when someone helped you. Your story might inspire someone else to step forward when it matters most.